And I'm calling to order the Pickens County Council meeting of April 6th, 2026. It's my 64th birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. This meeting is being held to conform to the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act and the council's organizational rules. The public's been notified of the date, the time, and the place of this meeting. Public notice and the agenda was placed on the county website and the county bulletin board out here in the lobby at least 24 hours prior to the start of the meeting. Councilor Linville is on TV tonight. I think she's in Washington, D.C., so if you see me looking that way, I'll be looking to her for votes and discussion. First item up tonight is going to be invocation. Councilor Scott Lang, 23-year Air Force veteran, is going to lead us tonight.
Lord, we just come to you today and this evening and with many thanks, Lord. Number one, for raising your son from the grave. Number two, for our brave military, in particular our Air Force officers that we were able to find and save them over the weekend. Lord, we thank you for their heroism and the people the many, many people that went in to save them. Lord, we thank you for them. We ask you to bless them, bless their families. Be with us tonight as we handle the business of the county. Help us as counselors to make decisions that are worthy of the citizens of Pickens County. Lord, we thank you. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Senator Larry Martin. He's going to introduce us to Jimmy Lee Dodgens, who served 34 years on the County Transportation Committee. Senator Martin, who served, I think, 38 years in the state legislature?
Total.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, total.
Okay.
Good to be with you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Thank you for your service. And we're here to recognize this evening a very distinguished member of the Pickens County community, the Pickens community proper, but has been out and around for a long, long time now. Mr. Chairman, Jimmy Dodgens, served with great distinction, has served and continues to serve on the Blue Ridge Electric Cooperative Board, I think since the mid-1980s. And also, as you mentioned, he served with the Pickens County Transportation Committee. He was one of the very first members of that committee that was appointed when it was formed in the early 1990s. And has served until just recently, and I appreciate that. I'm privileged to be here tonight to thank him for that, because he served on after I left, and we appreciate that. His wife Helen is with him. They've been married for over 50 years. Helen is a former member of our school board. 60 years. Well, how about that? Let's give my hand. They have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. I believe that's correct. And they're active members of Mountain Grove Baptist Church. And it's a real pleasure for me, on behalf of y'all, to welcome Mr. Jimmy Lee Dodgens and to thank him tonight for his great service to our community and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Lee. We got a little token for our appreciation here from Megan. We're going to get a picture if we can. Senator. Up is public input, and I'd like to introduce our very special guest speaker tonight. He's our first speaker, Mr. Ike Scipio. He's the mayor of Pickens, so we got a star-studded agenda tonight. He's going to tell us a little about the Gleaming Houses food drive that's going on this month. Let me just tell you, when I go to school meetings over here in City of Pickens, When he speaks, I say to myself, gosh, I wish I could speak like that.
Thank you.
You're a great speaker.
Thank you so much. Ray Wilson, one of our council members, and he's also a letter carrier, he wrote my script because he knows it's a hard thing for a preacher to get up in front of a full of people right here with an audience. So I'm going to follow that explicitly. Good afternoon, Chairman, council members, and guests. My name is Isaiah Scipio, and I'm honored to stand before you this afternoon in proxy for Pickens City Council member Ray Wilson, representing the National Association of Letter Carriers as we prepare for the annual Stamp Out Hunger Drive, largest one-day food drive in the nation. This year, we are excited to introduce a friendly competition to help drive participation and community engagement. On behalf of the Pickens City Council, we would like to formally challenge the Pickens County Council to a food drive competition. We are calling it the Great Pickens Food Drive. All food collected during this drive will go directly to the Gleaning House, a trusted local organization that works tirelessly and ensures individuals and families in need the reliable access to food. Their partnership is invaluable, and they will be responsible for weighing and verifying all donations collected. This effort is more than just collecting food. It is about addressing real and ongoing need that is in Pickens County. Many of our neighbors continue to face food insecurity, and this initiative provides a direct, meaningful way for our community to come together and support one another. Donations will be collected at City Hall and County Administration Building from April the 27th to May the 8th. And the entity with the largest total collected will be declared the winner. Now, to make things a little more interesting, we're not just asking for participation. We are bringing a true competitive spirit into this. This great food drive, after all, while it's all about good fun, we fully intend to win. I don't know if you should have said that, excuse me. We're gonna try to win.
As I reach for my wallet.
There are, of course, bragging rights on the line. And around here, those tend to stick a little longer than any official term. And to make sure that no forgetting of the outcome, is a custom-made trophy will be awarded to the winner, something that will be displayed proudly and prominently. We've already made room for it at City Hall. But if the county pulls it off, we'll make sure it gets delivered safely. But in all seriousness, whether it's the city or the county that comes out on top, our community is the real winner. I respectfully ask for your support in promoting this initiative, encouraging participation within your departments, and helping us spread the word throughout the county. With your leadership, we can make this year's drive one of the most successful yet. Together, we can truly make a difference, one bag of food at a time. Thank you for your time and for your continued commitment to the people of Pickens County. And this is the trophy that we will be presenting, well, we'll be holding on to, if whoever wins. And thank you so much for the time and for the opportunity, Chairman.
Okay. And here is $200 for our side. There you go. That gets us started. We'll see how you do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You're not going to come into our house. Okay, Megan, you're up.
Mr. Chairman and members of council, I call James Lambert. James Lambert. Dr. Henry Wilson. Henry Wilson.
Mayor Wilson, Bill, good job in replacing me. I'm glad to see you, Melanie. Chris, good job. I met with the developers over at the racetrack one time, and they promised to do right by the community. The very first thing we talked about was what they would do for the community, and they made promises. I'm not in the seat anymore, Dell. Elections have consequences. You're gonna have to do something about it. Just stand up for the folks. What's your name? Tasha did a petition 4,000 folks signed it. So I took a look at the households and how many voters that represents. None of you guys can ignore these people. None of y'all. The only person that could ignore them is Claiborne. Claiborne doesn't have a big, percentage of folks in their community. I think, we can all stereotype why. They also have a lot of college students. All of y'all should be paying attention to these folks, particularly you, Dale. I don't know if you remember, I asked you what you knew about roads and $100 million projects and things. Remember you told me you could read, or read the room. You gotta do something about it. You guys are saying that you can't do anything about it, but you can. You can do a historic district, you can do an overlay. If you can do an overlay on Kiwi, where all those folks already own that land and every one of them bought those places to build, then you can do it down there at the racetrack. There's not an approved project out there yet. So, that's my 3 minutes. Except I put in a FOIA today. I wanna see everything you got about kicking people off the school board, off the library board. Everything. Particularly, I know you like to use your own personal devices and whatnot, all of it. And hopefully there'll be a mismatch there, that way we can sue, because I would love to see discovery out of a situation like that. Hopefully you guys have not listened to him, and you're using like the county devices. Dell, what was the other thing you talked about? Oh yeah, you went to hundreds and hundreds of people's porches, and told them that I wouldn't wear a suit to the county council meeting. There's a difference between not wearing a suit and being an empty suit. You're gonna have to step up for the people in our community. These folks need you to.
Dawn Crooks.
Hi, good evening, council. I hope y'all had a great Easter. I'm going to start with you asked for these jobs. You campaigned for them. You told people of Pickens County that you would represent them. So understand why people are frustrated when they show up month after month only to be feel dismissed, talked down to, and sometimes mocked. At a recent overlay meeting, that administrator right there, Ken Roper, mocked this room of these people right here. He mocked them as you stood there behind him and did nothing. That's why I stand here today. That infuriated me, that you want to make fun of these taxpaying citizens, and you did nothing. You think it's funny that a room full of gated community people mocked these middle-class grassroots that you claim you represent? That is not funny to me. It is not funny that these people right here come here month after month begging you to do something for them because they believe in history. That's not funny to Pickens County. It is not funny that a gated community that you go up there and you represent for an overlay, for buffers, for protections, for setbacks, and they get nothing. The people on K Drive beg you every single day to do something for them and stand up for their protections, and y'all do nothing. And you think that because you got represented that you are higher than we are? You stand at a podium every month and do what? Tell us all that we're wrong? I don't understand what they stand for, but you know what? I respect it. I'm not a big NASCAR person. I'm not standing up here advocating for you to do anything for the track other than what they've asked you to do. All you can do is what you can do. And if you can't do anything, then tell them the truth instead of pretending like that they are nothing to you. I understand what it felt like because 4 years ago I stood right here and begged you to do something about development on Highway 8. Guess what? He listened to me. I got what I wanted out of that, which was greater development standards. So why don't you do what the previous council did and listen to the people? Because all they're asking you to do every month is for you to stand up for them instead of giving it to a developer for tax incentives. They pay taxes, and those tax incentives go to a developer. So why don't you stand up for them for a change? Have a good night.
Anthony Smith.
Good evening, council members. I'd like to start things off with exactly as she has mentioned. Greenville-Pickens County, and especially the racetrack, it's more than just a racetrack to us. It's a place where we can actually go and actually talk to others that have the same interest and passion about racing. And I say that because first time I ever went to Greenville-Pickens, I didn't even know it truly even ran races. And that was the greatest time that I'd ever had in years. A whole bunch of people just being free and just enjoying one whole passion together with absolutely no pressure from the outside to any of us. But GPS does deserve the whole static of wanting to be under the protection of all of you and the Pickens County, as well as even state law has mentioned under Historical Code 6-29-870. Local governing bodies can determine if a property qualifies for historic designation. Why is it not being addressed with any of you? We all want to know. Not a single one of us in this room wants an answer other than y'all can't do it. Y'all have the power and the choice, and we want to know why. And as far as what everybody else would want to be concerned about saying, if you can't be up for the job, then you need to step down, resign, and give it to somebody who will. Have y'all actually ever heard of Newport Speedway in Tennessee? It was a junkyard. I took one look at it and I just figured there's no way that a racetrack was there. Well, it made a comeback and it looked like it was brand new. I actually went there on opening day. I would have never been able to have told or even seen any signs of a junkyard. It looked nothing like it. Greenville Pickens can be saved on the very same grounds, and I think that it should be. There's no reason for people to be wanting to ask for people to pay to get the track restored when there's a volunteer group who is more than willing to do it. So, what I'm curious about is Seneca Mill in Seneca was actually designated recently on historic site as well, so why can't the racetrack be on the same grounds? Why can it not? Not only to mention, but there's also another track that's recently coming into danger in Nashville. And that's a whole bunch of shady business from what a whole bunch of race fans have said about it. So, quit really stalling and telling us that y'all can't do it when you know you can. Otherwise, I just really call for your resignations. Thank you.
Connie Johnson.
Hello, gentlemen. Apologize for my voice. Obviously, this weather has gotten the best of me. Instead of going into a long spiel about the racetrack, you guys know how I feel about the racetrack, how passionate I am about it. I would like to make sure it is clear and understood to everyone, even not here. The biggest reason why we continue to come in front of you about this racetrack is that it is not actually for sale. This development company refuses to sign their own contract to complete the sale of the land because they are holding out in hopes that you guys will not do anything and allow the Planning Commission to grant them land use so they can tear it down. That's just the fact of the nature. We're asking you guys to do something to prevent the track from being able to be torn down. This developer will lose interest in the property and it can be purchased by someone else, not taxpayer dollars, nothing like that, and ran. But I want to take a moment here to tell you guys, I know you all know I applied for the Planning Commission, and I would very much appreciate the chance to serve the people of Pickens County. I don't believe my involvement with the racetrack campaign should hinder me from being able to do that, because as we all know, something has all brought, a catalyst event has brought everyone into service. The racetrack just happens to be mine. This has shown me that Pickens County is not up to date with standards and ordinances to protect ourselves from overdevelopment. In my area in Pickens right now, in your district, Alex, we have lots of empty space that at any moment now someone's going to be breathing down our neck to overdevelop it. The hotels were turned down from Paris Mountain. It's a matter of time before they're breathing down our neck on Table Rock. The racetrack has opened my eyes to what we need to do better as a county and what we can do better as a county. And my involvement in the racetrack, I believe, should show that I'm willing to do the research. I'm willing to do the fighting, the digging. I've always came with a list of facts and proven data and material. I've never came out of line, threatened anyone, or been disrespectful. So I believe I should have the shot to prove that I am about Pickens County and want to protect what I am here, sitting here saying I want to protect. As Mr. Wilson had stated, that paper that I had given Megan, I believe she gave to you guys, is the petition that we had going around that has been kind of dissected to show you the amount of primary voters in each county, to show that this is not a small group of 20, 30, 40 people. That petition is over 4,000 signatures now, so that is even about 100 signatures shy. So, thank you.
Brandon Langston.
Evening, gentlemen. I watched NASCAR a couple weeks ago at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. They mentioned Greenville Pickens. NASCAR officials want it saved. The drivers want it saved. And so does the local community and everyone else around the whole country. NASCAR is ready to step in and help once it gets saved and bought and running. They want it. We need to make this a historic landmark, and it can happen. If anything else can be done that way, so can the racetrack. Help the community that you're here to do in this room. If you don't care about the community and don't want to help, it's time to step down. I want some people that's going to take care of this and protect our history in Pickens County and South Carolina. Thank you.
Connor Brazil.
Good evening, Council and Chairman. Yes, I'm here today in concern to the Greenville Pickens Speedway. First off, we do deserve the right thing. NASCAR featured this, like he said earlier, at Darlington, saying that we should bring back Greenville Pickens Speedway. This was also home to the first nationally televised start and finish race on ABC's Wide of Sports, but that's besides the point. Since 2023, y'all have been trying to find desperate buyers and all that kind of stuff, but this development site is starting to get me a little bit out of control. Okay, so at this point, we're talking about you need to do your jobs or else that's it. Us here at the Community for Save the Speedway have been trying desperately to get all of y'all's attention to try to give an update and to try to push out everything pretty much about if they're going to actually complete the sale, if they have not completed the sale. But y'all need to step up and make sure we have a place. Greenville Pickens has been in my heart. Went there in 2013, don't get me wrong. But we've been there at Greenville Pickens Speedway to communicate, to have fun with people, to watch races, stock car races particularly, and the fair. If y'all could take action, we desperately need it the most to bring back Greenville Pickens Speedway. And if y'all can't do your jobs like you said, you might as well step down. But I don't want to be way too rude or way too aggressive about that in that nature. But in my opinion, bring back Greenville Pickens Speedway, make Pickens County a great place. But another concern was also the traffic that's going down this area too along Greenville Pickens Speedway. If and so thought that there had been a lot of traffic backups when the industrial site takes over, if they do, that's going to be a lot of trucks, a lot of everything, and it's going to cause problems towards us traffic commuters and double our time getting to our destination. So if you could just please leave the track alone, save it, and make sure that somebody that does willing to buy it, NASCAR officials are also talking to save it too, to also save history that's been there since Independence Day 1946. Go Pickens, go Greenville Pickens Speedway, save the racetrack. Thank you, God bless, and good night.
Keith Cooley.
Good evening, council, visitors, citizens.
I just wanted to come forth and speak on behalf of the Speedway. I'm gonna start out telling you a little bit about myself. On a Monday night, February 25th, 1963, born in Greenville County. Come across the line, I've lived in Pickens County my entire life, 63 years and 1 month. 5 generations of my family has either spectated or raced at Greenville Pickens Speedway. I was fortunate enough to race the very first enduro race that they had there, where you knocked the windows out, took the seats out, and threw a little bit of a roll cage in there, and they had about 100 cars that raced 200 laps, and it was a good feeling. I've taken my daughters and my grandkids out to spectate and watch the races. There's a lot of history in that track. As one of the guys mentioned, it was the first televised race from, start to finish on national television. NASCAR and racing come about from, up in the mountains of Pickens County, the bootleggers. They would build cars to see who could run each other and outrun each other, and then ended up taking it to the ovals, and that's how NASCAR come about. What I'm asking in the common interest and the best interest of the community is for you guys to consider making it a historical location and preserve the track. There's several tracks right now, Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, multiple tracks that they're revitalizing and putting them back into circulation, and they're going to be profitable. One thing about time, you cannot reproduce. And once the track and the facility is demolished and it's gone, there's no bringing it back. So let's do what we can. Represent the community, represent your citizens, your taxpayers, represent those guys and these people that's wanting to preserve the track. I started work at the company I'm currently working at March 1985, and I drove by Greenville Pickens twice a day for about 5 years before we moved out on the other side of Greenville. Many a times when I was coming home from work, I would pull in, watch professional drivers, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Allison, all these different professional drivers. They would come to Greenville Pickens to practice. And it was, it was amazing to see that kind of racing on Saturday nights in the local area. Let's step up, represent you constituents, and let's see what we can do about making it a historical location, and let's preserve this track. Thank you very much. Y'all have a blessed day. God bless America.
Tasha Comer.
Okay. The way this council is handling development and overlays is inconsistent, selective, and frankly, it's wrong. You're pushing a district overlay over Lake Huey to protect that area, but when it comes to the Greenville Pickens Speedway, suddenly you hide behind the excuse of spot zoning. So let's be honest, that's not the real reason. Because if spot zoning is your real reason, then expand the overlay. Include K Drive, Slaughter Dam Road, and Highway 123. Problem solved. That's how planning works, unless you just don't want to protect it, and that's exactly what it looks like. Because right now you're bending over backwards to protect lakefront views, but you won't lift a finger to protect a historic racetrack that has been a part of this county since the 1940s. That's not planning, that's picking and choosing, and let people see it. Let's talk about Highway 123. It's not an interstate. It was never designed to handle the level of development you keep approving, yet you continue to pile on more traffic, more strain, and more congestion into an area that is overly developed. So I have to ask, why are you forcing massive developments into an already overwhelmed area when Pickens County already has a commerce park that was specifically built to handle industrial growth, and that land exists for a reason? But instead of using it, you're allowing overdevelopment in areas that cannot support it and refusing to protect the places that actually matter to this community. And here's the part you need to hear clearly. This is not going unnoticed. People are paying attention, people are talking, and people vote. You are elected to represent this community, not developers, not outside interests, not convenience. This racetrack is history, it is economical potential, and it is community identity. And right now it looks like you're willing to let it be destroyed while protecting everything else around it. And that is a choice. If you can create an overlay to protect the lake, you can create one to protect the speedway. So stop saying you can't. The truth is you won't. and the people in this county deserve to know why. And going back to what was happening on Lake Kiwi, I would like to play this.
Spot, we're gonna put these rules on, like, let's say you had an old racetrack. We can't just. Can't say that. But if you take a whole geographic area, and you say to that whole geographic area, there is something unique about this area, Highway 11, the lake regions. There should be special rules, special developmental rules for that area. Source of drinking water. That's the perfect.
So, needless to say, you're so apt to push a lake, but you don't think the track has history. But yet, your salary is $220,000 a year that comes from us. We pay you, not, you know, I wouldn't be worrying about too much about the people in Lake Kiwi, but this is your constituents that you're up there making fun of. And you make $220,000 a year, and particularly you really should be fired. Thank you.
Rebecca Simmons. Rebecca Simmons.
I'm Rebecca Vaughn Simmons. I'm a 10th generation South Carolina native. I am a quarter-century resident of Pickens County. Now, what I have heard since I've been here changes pretty much what I'm going to say. Alex, your smirk, your laugh. You shook your head when your salary was mentioned. Just then. Oh, yes, it's okay.
No,
It's
my
all
sal-
right. Now,
my
moving
sal-
forward,
my
I'm from a
salary's
family
not $220,000.
Oh, are you taking up my time or am I
You're gonna
taking
get
up
your-
yours?
My salary's not $220,000.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Now, are you wasting my time or am I wasting yours? Right now, I come from a family where blue is petty blue. Petty blue. That's all I knew. That's all I knew growing up. My first recollection, 1964, World 600. Fireball Roberts died. I was listening to it with my father. He's 97. I hope he sees this on the news. He can't wait. He's 97. Okay, in 71, I watched that televised race. I did, yes sir. I've been to Charlotte, Darlington, Bristol. We've had up to 3 generations at one time at these races. Now let's go local. Every one of them. Greenville Pickens, the one that we need to save, the district that I pay taxes now for. I took my children there. The conversation I had with my youngest son after his father died, we sat on the benches and talked. It had already been closed. We didn't care. I care now. I live within 2 miles. I sit in traffic and make excuses to people why I can't get to Wall Hall Performing Arts Center to help work there. They're successful. They're nonprofit. Hey, good meal. Historical. Racetracks. Historical. Interesting. Money makers. I don't find looking at retention ponds and industrial complexes and these things that have all of a sudden crept up into my neighborhood, I can't even get out of my road. Found it interesting that you paved all the way down to almost the public boat ramp on Saluda Lake, but stopped and turned and went down to the neighborhood. Not to the area where all the boats are coming in. Thank goodness we did finally gain access to that lake. Had to go to court for that one too. Let's see what happens next. Represent us, not these developers. Phase 1, 2. Did that happen? How? How?
Mr. Chairman, we're at the 30-minute time. I wanted to
I'll let
bring your
everybody
attention.
speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matthew Dillner.
Councilman, community, because community is first. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm an outsider, like you were once, sir, before you represented this community. I drove all the way here from Concord, North Carolina today, not just to defend the sport that I love, and that so many people in this room do. A little background about myself. I co-hosted a television show with Dale Earnhardt Jr. called Lost Speedways on the Peacock Network. And Greenville Pickens recently came into the news because of influencers like Dale who have stood behind it. We've heard somebody say, you know, the people of our community don't really know who Dale Earnhardt Jr. is, and that maybe NASCAR is failing, which is absolutely not the case. If you know your community, the Greenville Pickens area historically has the biggest number, one of the greatest demographic numbers of viewership for the NASCAR events, the national events. That's proof that this community loves that sport. Okay? That's why a lot of people are here today. But it's a lot more than that. You guys love influencers. You know, whether you're serving as a senator or a councilman, we love influencers because they bring attention. Well, these same influencers are chomping at the bit to come to Greenville Pickens to do business here, like they once did. When we used to come here with our families or our race teams and spend thousands of dollars at the local restaurants and spend thousands of dollars staying in the hotels of your community, that can happen again, and it's waiting to happen. These developers have, quite frankly, lied. I was at that first meeting where they promised that they did not want to touch the racetrack. Everybody here knows now that that is false. People say this racetrack can't come back. It's dead, move on. They said that once about North Wilkesboro Speedway. Look at what it's done to North Wilkesboro Speedway. That community, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, is vibrant again. Businesses are flourishing again. You guys have that opportunity to do the same thing. That historic designation is the first thing that needs to happen to protect this property, period. Whether it goes on as a speedway and gets saved as a speedway or not, that's the first thing that needs to happen. So I'll tell you what, warehouses, okay? How many people are going to travel with their family and their kids to go watch those warehouses? Pretty quiet. I drove to Virginia 5 hours this week to bring my child to see an auto race. Spent money in restaurants and hotels. That's what helps the community. I know our time is up. I just want to say one quick thing. Sir, in all due respect, the eye rolling to people in your community that are talking and expressing their true feelings is a little appalling. No disrespect. Thank you for your time.
Bob Brayerton. Bob Brayerton. One more time. Bob Brayerton. Judy Long.
Well, even though Greenville Pickens Speedway is a favorite of mine too, but my topic tonight is that we're having problems with our recycling centers, especially the one on Chastain Road. I am handicapped, my husband's handicapped, and I know of several other people in our area that are handicapped. When we go down there to take our garbage off, we can't get anybody to help us. I have 2 knee replacements and a shoulder that's rotator cuff's almost torn. My husband is on a rollator, and I've seen several other people down there that's in bad shape. And these men that are working down there, they just look at you like you're just totally crazy. Now, my thing is, we are paying their salary, even though they're on the lowest end of the totem pole. I'm sorry. If they don't want their job, somebody else will take it. I also went ahead and called Mr. Raines, who is over the recycling center. He's yet to call me back. Now, I've been promised tonight that he will call me first thing in the morning, and I'm waiting to see. because we need to do something about this. If you're going to have a job with Pickens County, no matter how big it is or how little, you need to get off of it and help people who need to be helped. You're not getting paid to sit down there and just look at the world go by, and the rest of us about fall 3 times. And that's what happened to me the other day, last Thursday, is I almost fell 3 times trying to get my garbage into the receptacle. He did not even move whatsoever. This is not my first time having this problem. I hope it will be my last. I hope that we can get this thing straightened out as soon as possible. Thank you for listening to me.
Brandon Langston, I think you've already spoke. Okay. Betty Whitlock.
Come up here and say a little bit. You done heard all these stories you've done heard so far tonight. And I just want to know why can't you guys help Pickens County? We all live here. I only live a mile from the track. And me and my husband used to go to Greenville Pickens all the time until he passed away 3 weeks ago. And I'm here on his behalf also that we need to keep Greenville Pickens. And if y'all were doing your job, none of us would have to be in here trying to tell y'all what we need. So I just hope that y'all can do your job and bring the racetrack back to where it belongs, all of us fans. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Bob Rayerton.
Thank you, Council. Your constituency is speaking to you. I hope you're listening. Not just your constituency, but a much bigger community that stretches from South Carolina to California to Texas to Michigan. Greenville Pickens Speedway has become a national issue. In fact, Mike Joy just mentioned it at the race in Darlington. In fact, he asked for people to show up because the racetrack cannot vote for itself. That's why we need you. I was not aware until just recently that the council can purchase the racetrack, and it can take steps as well to make it a historic overlay just for the track and the properties adjacent to the track. This community of fans, we don't have millions of dollars. We don't have big-time lawyers representing our voice to speak to you. We're just people who are passionate, who love racing, who want to see the Speedway saved. Not just this community, but celebrities. It's unavoidable. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now speaking up. I know you had to have heard what's going on. Dale Jr. said he would bring his cars to her, and he would be the first entry. His grandfather's name is on the wall. It means a lot to him, obviously. But also, Darrell Waltrip, when asked, he said, he was asked about Greenville Pickens Speedway. Darrell Waltrip, he said, I love Greenville Pickens Speedway. What's it gonna take? You have your constituents, you have you have a community here. It's just a small part. You have a nationwide community. And you have celebrities. I heard Lee Rogers just on 98.9, just at 5:30, talk about what happened on Saturday afternoon. So I'm here because I would love to see Greenville Pickens Speedway safe. Thank you, council.
Michael McCorkle.
Good evening, Michael McCorkle. I just wanted to request that Pickens County look to offer protective benefit to the citizen. This would be help in addressing title fraud, which affects both property and landowners. Title fraud occurs when someone transfers your title or deed illegally by using forged documents or after being successful in stealing your identity. They can then move the ownership of your property, be it your house, your land, your rental property that you own, etc., to somebody else. They can also use this method and then take out loans against the stolen property. The results of this type of theft can lead to lengthy legal expenses, foreclosure, or even eviction, even if you still live there. I recently found out that our neighbors in Anderson County are now offering such a service using a process called REACT. Citizens can register to be notified of changes by email in the title or deed of the property in the county, and they can then take action if their property is being legally taken from them. I request to have a similar service available directly from the county so that citizens do not have to rely on third-party monitoring services with significant costs. Thank you.
Allison Fuller.
I'm Allison Fuller. I actually reached out to most of y'all last week to let you know that I had some application in to be on the planning commission. As of right now, the district for Liberty is actually being filled by somebody that lives in Pickens. It's not even being filled by somebody from Liberty. I think it's important for whoever is covering that district should at least live in it to know what's going on. Liberty is getting hammered pretty hard with development right now. We have a 101 housing development that's going in on Castle Road in Liberty, and they are making a mess. They are tearing up the roads. It's awful. We have some more that have already been approved that are being built. Somebody has got to stand up for these different areas. And Liberty is such a small community, and I feel like one of the biggest issues is our school district. Liberty is the smallest, and all of these housing developments coming in, we don't have anywhere to put these kids. I mean, classrooms are getting overfilled. And I just feel like I want to be a part of the planning commission to try to help preserve what we have, not just in Liberty, but for the whole county. I don't think that, I don't want to be big like Greenville and it's skyscrapers and big buildings and all this other stuff. I like the small community that we have, not just Liberty itself, but Pickens County. So, thank you.
Ty Thornhill.
Mr. Chairman, Council, thanks again for letting us talk tonight. I really appreciate you letting us go along. I'm Ty Thornhill, and I'm a huge fan of the Greenville Pickens Speedway. You guys probably remember that. It's been a while since we've talked. I've missed you guys. But I think last time we talked about the Speedway being an asset, and why it's such an important asset, because it's the sort of thing that could be like an anchor tenant. If the county were a mall, that it would be like the biggest anchor tenant it could be, because whenever I'm far away, I hear two things about Pickens County. One is Clemson University, and the second thing is Greenville Pickens Speedway. And people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I've literally been 2,000 miles away from here. Pickens County has come up, and I've had a number of people say, that's what Greenville Pickens Speedway is. I didn't so-and-so race there. Certain things happened. And things continue to happen there. But the biggest thing I'm excited to talk to you about tonight is there's some new information that I think is going to talk to someone Tasha was talking about when it comes to the historic preservation. Now, we know that there's a lot of options. We know that there's probably 20 different things that we could possibly do. to save it everything from looking at a special district, just like they did for the Greenville Auditorium back in 1948, to, I mean, there's a whole list of things we could do. But this may motivate you, because I've been looking at a study that the SCDOT did that recommends that the track be preserved and be registered with the National Register of Historic Places. I've been looking at that study for months now, and I thought it was pretty interesting because the SCDOT, along with the Federal Highway Administration, both recommended in that study that the track should be preserved. The reason they did that was because they were doing the 124 bridge going to from right in front of the track. They determined that it should be preserved, that it met all the criteria to be preserved, and then some, and that they would rebuild the bridge in such a way that when it was preserved as a historic landmark, it would have the best view coming into the speedway so that you could see it the best. That was pretty cool because they just presumed it was going to happen. Here's what's more interesting. I've had this study for a while, and saw one of the folks from the South Carolina Historic Preservation Committee posted a little bit of information about the study that they were referencing. I thought it was the same study that I had. It's not. There have been 2 studies done. They were done 2 months apart. Neither of them comprehends the other. They were almost accidentally separate. SCDOT was done for the bridge. The one that the Historic Preservation Group did, which was part of a lot of folks, was done because the developer actually wanted to see if he could make it a historic preservation, a historic area, because he wanted tax money to put the one little stop, the plaque there that would commemorate the track after he tore it down. What he got was, that report was a recommendation that they not tear it down, a recommendation that it still be listed on the National Register. So you have 2 completely separate reports. Both of them recommend that the track be saved. One of them recognizing that the developer intended to plow it under, and it said, please don't do that, basically is what it said in 200 and something pages. The other one did not know that was going to happen. It was completely independent and uninfluenced by anything outside of it. And it said, nope, we need to save this track. It's important to keep it. I have a lot of other stuff, but we can check later.
Mr. Chairman and members of council, this concludes the public forum.
Mr. Roper, you were mentioned. Did anyone speak about that?
Mr. Chairman, not really, other than to say that the recording bears, I think, what is the truth. I think it's what I said in this room 30 days prior in the council meeting. That's the difference between spot zoning and zoning in the entire region. Certainly didn't want anybody to take offense, but I said the same thing then in both meetings.
So what's the legal ruling on spot zoning?
Spot zoning is where you pick one individual property and you zone it specifically, as opposed to looking at a region or having a county-wide system of zoning, which the law supports. So the advice that we've received from our lawyers, you've received the same advice I have, is that to pick one property and say we're going to zone this a specific way without creating the entire structure to underpin it countywide would be subject to legal challenge.
Okay. Mr. Holloway, you were mentioned as well. Anything you want to say?
I believe we've heard several tonight on this. So.
Okay. The thing is, for me personally, the reason I responded to that, I don't make $220,000 a year, nothing even close to that, is that people will believe it. People have been told on Facebook that I've been paid by Realty Link. I haven't. Realty Link has not given me any money. I've had 2 or 3 conversations with them in my life. Okay, I don't even know the guy. I don't think I had a face-to-face conversation with him. And when someone another time said that the state sent us $1.5 million on behalf of the Speedway, and I personally rejected and sent it back. It was completely made up and fabricated. No money has been sent from the state to the county. No money's been offered. And if it was, it wouldn't be my decision. So my whole point is, it's true, I haven't lived here my whole life. I moved here 25 years ago. So those are the personal things that have been said about me that just simply aren't true. So, all right, next item up is going to be the approval of the minutes. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 2nd, March 16th, and March 23rd. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Next up is the administrator's report. Mr. Roper, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. It's my pleasure to update you on some of the operational things that are going on in Pickens County. Glad to have all of you folks present here tonight. The first, we always love recognizing one of our own, particularly when one of our own staff has been recognized on a state level. I'm very proud to have here tonight Dietrich Easter, who is the planning coordinator for basically our emergency services level. I get his title wrong every time, so I'm not going to start getting it right now. But he was recognized on a state level as the Jack Niles Educator of the Year, which is intended to recognize an EMS educator who has made outstanding contributions to training and to workforce development. Now, I can say from first arm experience that he knows what he's doing, because he's tested different things with me as he was demonstrating to the crowd. So I just wanted to recognize he received this state level award. We are so proud of Dietrich Easter and the work he is doing both with our EMS, also helping with our medical dispatch process, and helping all of our emergency services. He's here with his wife tonight, and I would just ask we give him a round of applause. Last time he had me, he threatened to put a tourniquet on my neck, so never, you're not going to do that. I also wanted, it's been mentioned tonight, the lake overlay meetings. We've now had 2 of these lake overlay meetings talking about the entire expanse of property there. Lake Jocassee perhaps, all the way down to Lake Huey, Lake Hartwell, we're also discussing that. But I'll tell you that we had maybe 80 some odd people come to the lake overlay meeting that was held, Mr. Sada, in your district. And then I think the other night, Mr. Lawless, in your district, there's probably 120 is the count that I had, which may well have exceeded the safety limits for the room. So I appreciated everybody getting in and out of there and making their points known. But as we begin to study this concept, and that's what my message was to those folks that night, was we are just now beginning a conversation about whether or not this is appropriate. It's a large geographic area, and so it's going to be a lot of citizens that we're going to need to talk to before we really get down to it. So I tried to stress to them that we would have opportunity for more and more conversations about that. Mr. Wallace was there and contributed to many of whom were his constituents, with letting them know that we were interested in hearing from them. Gateway signs. You may have noticed some of the gateway signs have gone up entering to Pickens County. You'll recall we had the old branding on those gateway signs, and now the new ones are going up. The one on 178 coming north out of Anderson County is going to be a little delayed. There's a slight disagreement, I believe, that we've got to resolve about exactly where that one should be set. So we're going to get that squared away, and you'll see that one going up. But very excited about those. I will tell you that many people have reached out to me, members of council, about the old gateway signs. And so we may try to figure out something fun to do in the way of a lottery or something that we'll vet through the county attorney, determine what happens to those old gateway signs, because a couple of them are still in pretty good shape, and people have reached out to me and have some interest in them. So stay tuned for that news. Maybe we'll give it to who wins the food drive. Project updates. I have a few project updates for you in addition to the gateway signage. I can tell you that the Garvin Street building, which is the building you see there on the left, a building that the county purchased a little over, I guess, perhaps 2 years ago, and has alleviated some courthouse overcrowding by moving folks into that building. We have currently in there the Solicitor's Office diversion program on the lower right-hand side. On the lower left-hand side, we've got Department of Juvenile Justice. Their offices are those that are there. They moved out of the courthouse to free up space for the solicitor and the public defender. And then on the 3rd floor, we're told at long last, Department of Probation will be moving into the 3rd floor, which will move 16 employees out of the courthouse, free up some parking issues, and save the taxpayers a lot of money for us not having to build a new facility. Along those same lines, we're improving the parking situation in front of that building. Those 2 buildings are having their asbestos abated this week. That contractor is on site and is abating the asbestos in those 2 old buildings, after which we will demolish them and pave that and connect the 2 parking lots. So we feel really good about how that project is making progress, and we know that it'll be moving towards paving as we head into the summer months. The lower left-hand corner is our $12 million dispatch and emergency logistics building that also is going to serve as our EMS train headquarters, being built with federal funds in large part there. I'm happy to report that that building, the construction will be concluded on May 22nd. Now, until every I is dotted and every T is crossed, we don't want to make any bold pronouncements, but I will tell you that we received an update as late as this morning that we are under budget, and so we feel really good about that, feel good about the progress. We will probably be deliberate over the few weeks after the construction is done, transitioning from our existing dispatch into that new facility, but I wanted you to have that good update. You can see the lower right hand is Medic 1. That bid for the construction manager at risk process is out now. It's due back here, I believe, in 2 weeks, after which time we will do individual interviews with those folks that were good responsive bidders to try to make sure that we get a Medic 1 price for you sometime in May that is the best value possible. We've heard you loud and clear on that issue. Before we get to any questions, I need to tell you about one other thing. I received a letter from the town of Central. Received this here last week. Certified mail that the town of Central is notifying us that they are considering forming a tax increment financing district, a TIF district, and that this TIF district will require either the participation or non-participation of the county as well as the school district. And so the way this works legally is that we have an option of whether we participate in this central TIF, but we are required by law to notify them if we opt out of it before May 11th. So I'm just putting that on all of your radars so that the chairman can have that set for a meeting soon so you all can discuss and you can give me instruction on how to respond. We'll need to do that before May 11th, which is the date that they have their public hearing on that. Mr. Chairman, members of council, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Any questions from the council? Council Linville, you got anything? No? Right.
Mr. Roper?
Yes, sir.
At our recycle centers, what is our process? What do we have available for elderly, disabled, or handicapped folks? Do we have anything available for assistance? I know we have attendance at those facilities, but I've never really thought down that path.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Bowers. It's an important question, and I know Ms. Long and her husband are here tonight. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Long just before the meeting and hearing her concerns. First, just to address that directly, I've already sent a message to both Director Raines as well as Director Robinson that I had sent her phone number to make sure they respond to her to explain the way that the system is designed to work. Most of our recycling attendants are post-retirement individuals. So people will complain from time to time that they're not helping them. They are not there to help able-bodied individuals. They're there because they're some advanced age themselves. They're there to make sure that the bins, when they're full, that it's properly called in. They serve as spotters for the truckers when the truckers back up. They make sure that the equipment is operating, if they need to press reset switches, and then they can call in if there's any types of other trouble. So they're the eyes and the ears of Pickens County in those recycling stations. But if a handicapped individual comes in, they need to be good fellow citizens and help them out. I've done it. I've served shifts in the recycling centers myself, and I know that it can be a long day, a long trying day, but they should be given a hand to folks that are less able to get around. And so we'll do more training on that. I'll make sure that Director Raines talks to Ms. Long to get her firsthand perspective. It's an important point.
Is that a policy we need to look at?
It's already an existing procedure that we have internally. We would welcome, you all are the people's representatives, so if you need to give us more direct guidance, we would certainly welcome it.
I think it needs looking at. Ms. Long's not the first complaint I've heard of that.
Yes, sir.
When we redo our goals next time, put that on your list. That's a good thing. Any other questions? Okay, I got a couple. How close are you to finishing the electrical updates at Mile Creek Park?
So phase 1 is complete.
Okay,
the park is open. Phase 2 is actually in the budget for next winter, but phase 1 is complete.
Okay, you mentioned the Garvin Street building. Do you have any other ideas of who may move into that building?
I want probation to get in the space and us see exactly how it's gonna operate before I make any other commitments. There are other entities where the county is required to provide them office space by law. And so I will be looking at those types of entities where we're required to provide them office space, because in many cases, as many of you have seen, this office space is much nicer than a lot of our other space. So that's still to be determined. Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
so you're thinking tire shredding, has it begun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so we no longer have to hire a vendor to haul the stuff off, or less so, or what's?
Less so. It will be significantly less. And there's a little revenue stream that we're losing there because we actually get money from the vendor for the tires. But we know that, and it's an insignificant amount. It's not gonna have big budget impacts. It's better off. We're saving a lot of money by shredding and landfill.
Okay, chips, could you sell the chips, or we're not there?
We'd love to be able to sell the chips. Unfortunately, the state does not have regulations in place on that.
Okay.
The solid waste director has told me that because there's metal in those chips, in many cases, that's gonna be a little more complex. But he told me he would love to do it. DHEC doesn't have a way, or DES doesn't have a way to permit it yet.
What about K-Drive? Give a history on that, because that was.
I can't give you the whole history, although Ms. Fowler can probably give you a better history on that project than I can. It has been a long-standing, it's one of the biggest permit developments. I think it's the one that spurred a lot of the changes that County Council made here not long ago. So it has been a big development, and it has caused significant impacts out there. So we'll let Ms. Fowler give you a written update on that when
No, I just like when they mentioned complaints, I know you've sat down with them a few times.
Oh, yes, sir. Different citizens at different times have called in. We've had stormwater complaints that we've spent a great deal of staff work on. We've sent notices of violation to the developer out there on numerous occasions. We've had two that I called. Basically just concerned citizen meetings where we had the citizens come together with our staff so that we could, all the different parts of our staff could hear from the citizens directly. Dr. Holloway came to those meetings as well to offer council guidance in those meetings. And then we've had, I went for coffee with one of them to try to make sure we got their concerns. A lot of concerns. The best thing that can happen out there right now is for all that infrastructure to get in, because that was permitted under the old rules and not under the new. The new rules would not allow that kind of development now, but it was pre-existing nonconformity.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is number 5, committee reports. Got an update from Roads and Bridges Committee. Council Waltz.
On Monday, March 30th, ad hoc committee met at the Roads and Bridges office on County Farm Road, and all three of us were there, Administrator Roper, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Reynolds, Joey Burdine, Renee Gray, and Megan Nations. We began with discussion about paving project priorities and what it would look like to modify the schedule and the projects using a different grading scale. We discussed what the paving list would look like if the schedule were to move to addressing more of the lower graded roads and addressing the higher graded roads later. We discussed the reasoning why the current scheduling process is geared toward maintaining the roads in better condition first to preserve them and addressing the lower and middle graded roads along the way as possible. The idea was discussed to modify the scheduling process to address more of the middle graded roads and lower graded roads first, and then address the higher graded roads as possible. We also discussed how long it would take a high grade road to degrade to a lower graded road as the schedule gets modified. And we also talked about the effects that the detours from the state road closures have caused additional traffic loads and damage to our county roads. They weren't designed for the amount of traffic that they were impacted by. And we found out that the state accepts no responsibility to help the county to fix the damage caused by their detour. As far as the paving priorities, we ended at an impasse, and Director Robinson's going to compile a new road list using a modified priority method, so we can see what it would look like before any final decisions are made and brought to council. We'll be looking at that when we meet again in the next few weeks. Director Reynolds presented the committee with a list of the fiscal year 27 approved capital equipment purchase requests and an additional equipment needs list for consideration if possible. To date, there is $925,000 approved to purchase one heavy equipment trailer which will replace two existing trailers, a 1971 model and a 1980 model, 3 single axle dump trucks, a 93, 99, and 2004 model, 1 half-ton pickup, it's a 2008, an excavator is a 2010 with 8,220 hours on it, and 1 skid steer that's a 2013 with 4,259 hours on it. There's an additional ask to purchase a bush hog knuckle boom truck to aid in debris and brush removal. That's $220,000, and a small asphalt roller for $50,000 to replace a 2006 model we currently have that is having some issues and they're having trouble finding parts for it. That roller is used for culvert replacements. It can be towed behind the dump truck to and from the job site, so there's no additional trailer needed. Those additional items would be $270,000. We were also presented with an equipment inventory list of trucks and equipment that the county has that included the ages and mileage and hours of service. The county's got a lot of older and highly used equipment in our fleet. 6 of our single axle dump trucks were purchased in 2004, 1 in 1999 and 1 in 1993. 3 of those are already on the approved list for fiscal year 27. The 04, the 99, and the 93. We have 3 triaxle dump trucks that were purchased in 1994. We have 1 loader that has 16,781 hours on it, and several other pieces of equipment that have 5,000 plus hours on them. And if you know anything about equipment, for a piece of equipment to have that many hours and still be reasonably useful is a testament to the operators and the mechanics that's been taking good care of it. But even with good care, things wear out and parts get harder to find, and it's going to become a money pit. With the already approved amount of $925,000 and possible extra $270, the need for fiscal year 27 would be $1,195,000. Over the next 2 years, we're looking at having to spend around $2.1 million on roads and bridges to get their fleet where it needs to be. An offset to that figure will be the sale of equipment that has been replaced and some additional equipment that has been left over for several years when the county used to do their own paving. We'll announce the next meeting date when Director Robinson has the new paving priority list ready, which should be in a week or 2.
Okay. Council Bowers, you're on the committee. You want to add anything?
That's a great recap.
Okay, we're good. We'll have a meeting soon, I imagine. Okay, next item up is number 6, council correspondence. That's me. On Monday, April 20th, I'd like to schedule a council meeting for up to 3 items. One is going to be the overlay discussion. It's going to be very, very short because we're still in the process of having meetings on that. We're going to discuss rec funding requests as well as ATAX funding requests. The clerk of council, I think you sent applications on the rec and ATAX to us, so be ready for that. That's usually a pretty long meeting. Council Linville, you're going to give us an update. Can you give us an update now on the evaluation process and the evaluation forms for the clerk of council as well as the county administrator? Where do you stand on that?
On the evaluation process?
Yes. For the clerk.
Sorry, I'm missing some of y'all's phrases. The clerk's evaluation is ready to go. It's the same that Dale, Mr. Holloway, and I worked on earlier, so that's ready to go. The administrator's evaluation is tricky because the job description is very outdated. However, the contract he's on does match the job description, so legally we need to evaluate him based on how he was hired. So we're going to move forward with making his evaluation form match the description of what he was hired under and the contract he's under now, but with a recommendation that moving forward, that job description should be updated after his next evaluation to better reflect what a county administrator is doing in Pickens County now.
Okay.
So that one is not yet ready, but will be ready by the time it's needed.
It's going to be needed in June or July.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Final thing is, the way, when people sign up for public input, the written rule is that there's no written rule that you could call ahead and put yourself on a list, or you could call ahead and put other people on the list. So that's been going on, and that's some of the reasons why tonight that you had some people on the list but they weren't here. So generally going forward, I'd like to stick to the rule to make it easy for the clerk that you have to sign up here. You come to the meetings and you sign up. This way we know you're here. So we're gonna do that, stick to the rule going forward. For some reason, it got twisted over time. Okay, next item up is new business. Do I hear any new business? Okay, next item up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to make a motion that we create a historical designation committee here in Pickens County.
Okay. Now, what is the basis of that under the law? What powers will it have?
That's for us to discuss if we were to, but this is motion period in their business. So, you know, I'll be more happy to go further, and I would normally look at my attorney and say, is this the time to discuss? But she is not present. So at the end of the day, it would be whatever this council decides, like every other committee that we have. But I make the motion based on what I heard the public ask for tonight, and that's the motion.
Okay, I'll second for discussion. Now, your reasoning, what powers would this have?
Well, this committee, if you will, and when you look through other places that have done it, it would literally do the homework. It would be the committee that would come and would say, yes, this is why, and all the things. Now, we could give it powers to go even further to where if you designate something like the Haygood Mill a historic place, then before you make a change at the Haygood Mill, it has to go before the committee before you did something at the Haygood Mill. That is what typically a historical designation committee would do.
See, let me explain what I understand and what the attorneys have said and the county administrator have said. There's been 3 different requests. They've evolved over time. First is to put the site on the National Registry. Okay, anybody can apply to do that. You apply through the state, and you have to put the owner's information down. Now, if the owner doesn't want it on the list, it doesn't get on the list. Okay? You can apply all you want. So that's the first thing. So the owner has said in this meeting, when he came and spoke to one time, that he felt the racetrack was not a viable economic venture. So he had no desire to do that. Now, if you manage to get it on the National Historic List, like the Haygood Mill and some of these other places you mentioned, it could still be demolished by the owner. There's no, you know, the owner of whatever church, what is it, Soapstone Church, even though it's on the, even though it's on, no, it's our turn to speak. Even though it's on the National Registry, it could be destroyed by the owner. So that doesn't give it any protection. The next thing is, they keep mentioning 6-29-870. That's a zoning ordinance, which is in 6-29 Article 5, which is zoning, which this county does not have. So to create that ordinance and create that committee under state law, which you'd need to give it powers to protect it, you first have to create zoning county-wide, okay? And that's gonna require studies, public input. It's gonna require 3 votes, and the people to want every piece of property to be categorized in this county for industrial, commercial, residential. We don't have that now. The reason they can do this to other racetracks and other places is because they have zoning. And it's just easy. You just pass that 6-29-870 and you're done. You create your commission. We'd have to create that framework first. I'll give you an example. We have 5 items under a 6-month moratorium now. Right now, 4 months in, we don't have one of them approved. That's how long the process is. This is a county-wide thing. We're not talking about changing, you know, Section 302. We're talking about basically revamping how we do things. The final thing is they keep mentioning overlays, and the attorney said it. Overlays, you can overlay many different parcels of property, but you can't overlay one parcel. Her words were it's unconstitutional, and I've read the case law on that. So when you look at all these different options, I guess we could pass a resolution that makes it historic. We could probably do that tonight. But it wouldn't prevent the owner from demolishing it. And that's what they're looking for. So what I've said to them numerous times is talk with the owner. The owner is willing to sell the track. He wanted $5.6 million for it. Rex Rice has worked with him to where it's now $4 million. I've seen the contract. It's a viable contract. It wasn't some.
Why won't they sign it?
It's just please don't do that. It's It's like they're getting calls at 11:56 at night, which I've had.
Well, maybe stop dismissing everybody and it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, so that's the issue. So Rex, there was an ethics complaint filed against Rex, and I don't think he's working on it anymore. So I mean, if you want to work with the owner and this potential buyer to bring them together, I think that's more viable. Because I don't know if there's any ordinance that we could create that would keep the owner from doing that to his property. That's my belief. Now, we can, Mr. Roper, you're an attorney. Maybe you want to weigh in on it, but like I said, I don't, I mean, you can create a commission. I don't know if we could create a commission that's going to do what you want or what they want. You'd have to create zoning first. Now, the reason they want to zone it is not for historical purposes, because they've said it, is once you you zone all properties, industrial, commercial, whatever, combination of it, and you go to the racetrack, this is only racetrack. He can no longer sell it as industrial, he can no longer sell it as commercial, he can no longer sell it as residential. 98% of the buyers go away. And what happens is the price tumbles to pennies on the dollar, and then they could buy it cheaper. Now that's one of the aims. It's been on their website. It's been on your website. Come on, please stop. It's been on their website to lower the price, and that's how they would go about doing it. Now the question is, once you allow that for one property, it then gives us the power to do it to any property. And I don't think the people are going to support that.
So,
The potential buyer
Mr.
wants to
Chairman,
buy a reality link,
Come
will
on.
not talk to him.
Mr. Chairman.
Stop, please. Let him speak.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wanting to look at this actually a little broader, and I was very cautious not to say the historic Greenville Pickens designation. So if you'll remember when we had the aerial mill discussion, and actually one of the speakers tonight, there is a state tax credit that you can get for a historical site, and the county has to sign off on it and all the things. We had to, it was the mill and, was it the roller mill and the folks that were talking about doing the aerial mill, both came to us asking us for county council to call it historical, and it was all about getting the state tax credit.
It's the Textile Rehabilitation Act, yes.
Right, that's part of the Textile Rehabilitation Act. But we had to designate it, or we had to call it historic. Am I correct in that?
That's right.
Okay, so thinking broader, I'm just thinking broader.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not a textile. So that's why it wouldn't
I
apply.
didn't call it a textile.
No, but you referred to that as an avenue we could go. Now, under the state law, they have textiles where you can get tax credits from the federal and state government, but the county has to deem it historical for you to get those credits. There is no state law that would allow you to do that that's similar, and except for the 6-29870, which is in a zoning framework, which we don't have, which we'd have to create. So the Textile Act, I don't think is going to help you. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. You want to have a committee and look at it, or you want to look at it personally, I would look at it. I don't think, I've looked at all these options here and I've talked to our attorneys. And unless we're going to go the zoning route, which to me would probably take at least a year, probably longer, I just don't think it's possible. I think it's more likely that you can get the track purchased, given how close they are. So I would say I'd probably be no on your motion.
Would you be willing to go with a modification to the committee to be able to sit down with the seller and the buyers and try to mediate, create a committee to talk to both sides, get them in the same room and see if we can come to a...
Well, that's a private transaction. I mean, like I said, if you feel you want to represent them, you could go meet them and talk to the owner if you'd like to. I would be very careful about saying the county council is going to do this or that, because you're not speaking for the council. But Rex Rice, up until recently, was the one that was working with them, and you could do that as well. I mean, I'm not objecting to that. I mean,
I just don't think this is going to be the last time we have something like this pop up. I truly don't, and I may be wrong, but I don't think this is going to be the last time we have something like this.
I just don't, when you look at their goals, I just don't think we can create something locally, short of the zoning route, that would protect it from being demolished by an owner that has no desire to preserve it as a track. Yes, he has that ability.
So, and I do hear you, and like you said with soapstone, you're absolutely 100% correct in that. And there are limitations, even with designation. There's still limitations. even at the federal level. There's still
So how
limitations.
about this? Scott, if you want to work with them too, you're welcome to. I don't have an objection to that. I don't think anybody would. We can ask the administration to look at it.
But again, my motion was purely, I think it's grander than Greenville Pickens. I mean, I just do. But y'all can disagree with me on that, but.
How would that work if the owner of it is not willing to do a historical? That seems to be the crux of the thing. The owner doesn't want it to be historical. He wants it gone. So, like he just said, if we declare it historical, he still can tear it down if he wanted.
That's, as you said with Soapstone, who has a federal designation.
Because the difference, you were talking about the mills, the difference with that was the owner's approach to asking. This owner's not asking. An outside group that's interested is asking.
Yeah, once they buy the track, if they do, then why not? We can make it, if we're able to do it, I mean, then they can get some kind of credits if we're able to do that, that's fine, and that's what you typically do. The owner gets the designation, that then gives them state and federal credits, then they use those credits to rehabilitate whatever it is. And the big linchpin, the problem here is that the owner doesn't want to restore it as a track. He doesn't want to operate it as a track, but 2 weeks ago when I last talked to Realty Link, which has been 3 times in my life, they were willing to sell it. I saw the contract, and it was a viable contract that requires $250,000 down and I guess $3.75 million to make the purchase, which is down from the $5.6 million. So I thought he was moving in the direction that they wanted. Now, I mean, I think that's the best route.
I have a legal question, and I know our attorney's not here, but I'm gonna count on you. Is it legal for us to create some group to go speak on behalf of these folks and Realty Link, or be involved in that private transaction? Can we do that?
I'd say there's really 2 questions you're asking there. Is it legal for you to create a group that engages on this issue? Yes. The powers of county government under state law are very broad. Is it something where we should try to get involved in a private transaction? No. That's potential civil liability that you do put the taxpayers under. Now, is there a middle ground there, or as you suggested, that y'all could task staff into trying to reinvigorate this conversation? I for one would be willing. But depending on how y'all want to pursue that, we do not need to get in a situation where we're a third party bidding on a contract between 2 people. That's rife with civil liability.
Yeah.
But
I guess that was my main question.
Okay.
I mean, how can we do this and not be directly involved in theirs and Realty Link's transaction?
Right. Because
I guess the county will be facilitating a meeting for the 2 parties
we could
to
be a
come together.
convener, and me and my staff would be glad to be conveners when it comes to that, if that would be helpful. I don't know that it'll change what we have in front of us, but I'm glad to help facilitate.
Did that make sense, what I was asking?
It makes sense.
I hear what you're asking. It still doesn't, I mean, I think you've gone down, y'all really have gone down a rabbit hole and
Well, I wasn't trying to go
pitching
down a
this
rabbit
with Greenville Pickens. I was literally thinking even larger than Greenville Pickens.
Well, any
Any.
private transaction. I mean, I guess that's the broader question, since you have a broad motion. You know, what's the county's role? What can we do and what are we prohibited to do?
We have broad authority to do things under state law, but where state law has been specific, we are limited to what it specifically told us. So if we're trying to get into a private transaction and interfere or have some impact on the dollar figure one way or the other, that's an overreach by government.
The county can't be the broker in the deal.
That's right. We don't need to be involved in this in a financial way or trying to punish or reward winners and losers in that situation.
But if these folks got in a room with those folks,
But if we
everybody
could help
put everything on the
facilitate a
table, they could
conversation,
work it out.
yeah, if we could help facilitate a conversation, that's certainly appropriate and we'd be glad to help if we can. If we can. I don't know that we can. But I don't know that still addresses what he's.
Yeah, my thing is, I think as long as there's a contract on the table, I would give that a chance. The buyer and the supporters need to show the seller proof of funds on a $250,000 deposit, okay? And you need, when I spoke to Realty Link and I asked them for that, they said they haven't seen that. So $250,000 cash deposit, that's what's required on the contract. And then you have to show a commitment letter. A commitment letter is from an institution on letterhead with an broker, his name, his email, his number, all the checks that he's done on your background, and saying we're committed to live. You know, when you sell a house, you're committed to lending this amount of money. That's the next thing. Show them those two things, and that would, I think, move things along. I mean, in my opinion. So I would continue. My belief is there's a lot of roadblocks on our end. I would work on trying to show them that the cash is there to purchase the property and provide it.
So for, Mr. Chairman, just for the state of getting back to the motion at hand, and I've tried to be very clear that I'm not talking specifically about Greenville Pickens Speedway. I understand that that's the direction you feel that they should go. I get that, but I still, if I want to call it historic, it may not matter a hill of beans to your point, but if I want to call it historic, I want to call it historic. And it could just be that we want to call it historic. You know, it's the historic Marion Owens Administration Building.
Right, that's right.
If that's what that was the spirit behind the emotion of a historical designation committee. I mean, that literally was the spirit behind the motion.
But you realize it's not going to prevent the owner from destroying the trackers, which is their aim. To me, it's almost lip service. It's going to be, to me, it's going to be lip service. I can make a resolution that this pen is historic. We have the ability to do that, but it doesn't mean he can't throw it out. That's the problem. What their aim is to preserve the track. Now, we can make a resolution that says it's historic. It may satisfy some people, but it's not going to have any legal bite behind it. So I think from the beginning, when I've seen the deal go like this, and there's not a lot of differences in opinion from the contract that I saw, that I think that's probably the best opportunity. Then I'd like to, at that point, they want to make it historic.
So, Mr. Chairman, I want to withdraw my motion, but I have a new motion.
Okay.
My motion is to pass a resolution tonight supporting the historic designation behind Greenville Pickens Speedway, and encourage the seller to recognize its historical significance to our county.
I'll second that. It's not going to stop them from destroying it or selling it or doing anything, but if that works, I will support that. Okay.
Claiborne raised her hand.
Claiborne, did you have a comment?
So, well, I was going to comment on the first motion, and I will admit it's hard to speak here when y'all turn at each other, but this motion just got withdrawn to put forth a new motion to pass an ordinance. Is that right?
Resolution.
Okay.
Okay, we could, I guess we'll either put that on a next meeting agenda?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
not.
you don't have an ordinance to vote on tonight, so.
No, so I'm not used to answering you now as the attorney.
Yeah.
I'm not your attorney, but I can tell you, just from an administration standpoint, this is motion period in new business. Your rules say that if something's raised for the first time, then it needs to be scheduled at a subsequent meeting.
We'll do that. We'll schedule a subsequent.
I believe that's
No
correct.
problem.
You're the former chairman. You probably would know as well as I would.
Okay, that's no problem. I will definitely, yeah, I mean, any discussion on that? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, passes unanimously. We'll put your resolution, and you can help the administration with it.
Thank you.
No, too late. I'm sorry. No, you can't. The meeting would just be wide open chaos. I'm sorry. After the meeting, I will answer any one of your questions. Okay, we'll have about 10 minutes. Okay, next item up is number 8. It's 8A. It's a first reading in title only to adopt the budget amendment for the current fiscal year. Mr. Roper.
Apologize, we're dealing with a technical issue right now. I apologize for that. 8A is the budget amendment, I believe. Is that correct, Mr.?
8A, yes.
8A, yes. So this is first reading in title only of ordinance number 682 to provide for adoption of a budget amendment. Year after year, after you have all approved the annual budget, issues will arise, transactions will take place which were not foreseen during the normal budget process. These transactions will include purchases not being completed until after the closeout of a fiscal year, technical dating matters that we need to correct. Also, it doesn't include grants that we may receive during the fiscal year that we did not count on. And then council actions such as purchasing land, building, or equipment after the budget has been approved. Those need to be trued up in a budget amendment. Traditionally, what we've done is we have first reading in title only, and in one of your budget work sessions, you actually look at that inflow and outflow list, Mr. Say, the way that we've done in years past. So this is first reading in title only. Recommend that you all adopt it, and we will, as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we'll be able to give you that complete list.
Okay, let's say, I'll make a motion to accept that as presented. Item 8A.
I second it.
Second, any discussion on that? So that's first reading in title only on a budget amendment for the current fiscal year. Those in favor, raise your right hand.
Hi, so I
Yeah, you agree.
did not hear that one at all.
That was the motion for to accept the budget amendment.
Yes, I approve that motion.
Yes, you do. Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
unanimous, 6-0. Okay, next item up is number 8B. It's a first reading in title only for the budget of the upcoming year. Mr. Roper, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. As you're aware from years past, I am required by state law to present to you the budget for the year, both operating and capital, and I'm also required to provide you a transmittal letter. You should have that in front of you. Council Linville, you also received that electronically. I think I tried to time it where you all 6 got it at the exact same time, even though some of you were physically present and others weren't. But in terms of the transmittal letter, it's my pleasure to present to you all tonight the staff proposed operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2027. This transmittal and the underlying budget are provided to you in accordance with section 4-9-640 of the South Carolina Code of Laws and reflect a balanced financial plan that meets the county's obligations while positioning Pickens County for continued growth and service to its citizens. The fiscal year 2027 operating budget is balanced and it provides for no tax increases. It reflects many of the priorities that you all communicated over the last few months, is up to and including priorities you gave me just in the last couple of weeks in that work session, so I appreciated those. It responds to the needs of a growing community with fiscal discipline, foresight, and commitment to public service. For capital items, we are in large part utilizing savings from previous years. So we will be paying cash for capital in this budget based on money that we've accumulated in our fund balance. And we feel like that's a fiscally prudent way to do it. Our foremost priority in the budget for this year, as we've discussed on many occasions, is the staffing and successful launch of the county's new Emergency Response 911 Center. This budget investment provides full personnel support for emergency calls for our EMS, for our fire departments, for our rescue squads, and for our contracted municipal partners, providing a unified and resilient emergency communication systems in our new facility that will serve as the cornerstone of our public safety for years to come. Related, and this is in response to a concern raised in just in the last couple of weeks, Mr. Lane, this also includes in our budget this year funding for the reverse 911 system, an emergency communication system that'll enhance what we've had in the past. And we're very excited about talking about that more so that people will get emergency notifications in a way that they can depend on. We will continue to invest in our people through this budget, Mr. Chairman. Annual step increases for our eligible employees are included. That's a promise we made to our employees year over year. We would provide that additional step in their salaries. This budget does that, as well as a cost of living adjustment effective July 2026 that we have all discussed. In addition, targeted investments in leadership training as well as development for future leaders will help ensure that the county remains well positioned to meet future challenges with capable and prepared, growing leaders. The proposed budget also provides meaningful and enhanced support for the Pickens County Sheriff's Office. We recognize how important that is, including additional patrol vehicles for them to replace their aging fleet above and beyond the regular replacement schedule, as well as funding for other critical needs that they have. One example of that is an additional $300,000 investment in officer safety equipment that reflects our commitment to those who serve on the front lines in public safety. Beyond public safety, the budget strengthens the county's ability to serve its citizens through thoughtful investments in our capacity and our service delivery, including expanded support for our veterans by taking a part-time position that they have and transforming that, to a full-time position, so that they'll now have 3 full-time positions in that office, so they can service our veterans. That's included in the staff budget. We are also modernizing our core governmental functions, such as courthouse records management, including the purchase of new equipment for them, and also contractual amounts, so that they can begin scanning documents and bringing that office into the present day. Public Works construction oversight, as well as assistance for our finance, human resources, and county attorney, will all benefit from a new employee that we're adding in the role of risk manager, sharing workloads with those 3 departments while maintaining safety compliance throughout county government. We also recognize the importance of quality of life across all areas of the county. Incremental, sustained increases beginning this year in recreation funding. We've added in this budget an additional $30,000 to be spread around amongst the districts in additional rec funding, because the rec funding process has fallen woefully behind through the years. We believe that year-over-year investment in the rec funds will get it back to a level that's equitable for your constituents and their rec needs. Pursuant to prior council action, first reading and title only of the budget ordinance is scheduled for tonight, with subsequent readings and work sessions to follow as much as are needed by you council members. I look forward to working with council throughout this process. Staff is ready to provide additional information or support necessary in those work session environments to ensure that you all have a thorough and thoughtful review as we move through our annual process. Pleasure to submit this budget to you, Mr. Chairman and council, and we look forward to working with you.
Okay, so we just got this a few minutes ago, so obviously it's going to be a first reading in title only. We'll have 3 different votes and probably a meeting in detailed discussion. So I'm going to make a motion to accept item 8B as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, we'll save that for future budget. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Next item up is 9A. It's a second reading of a special source credit and reimbursement agreement. It's called for Project FLAP. So, Mr. Administrator, that's going to be you.
Yes, I'm going to recognize Ms. Fowler, if she would, to help us with Project FLAP.
So we have, we've got a second reading of Project FLAP. This was delayed from the last meeting to tonight. There were some details still being worked out. But basically it offers a 5-year extension for the original agreement with Project FLAP and a 50% SSRC on that extension. So the original technically expired at the end of 25, so from 2025 on, it's 5 years. So that is not on any actual buildings. So just keep that in mind as well.
Is it mostly capital?
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions for her? I'm going to make a motion to accept item 9A as presented. Second? Second. Any discussion? What's happening is we've gotten a lot of these manufacturers here now, and technology is advancing so quickly that they're falling behind. And their biggest investment is just upgrading capital. I was they're falling short. So that's to help them out. Okay. Any further discussion on that? A second reading on special source credit and reimbursement agreement for Project FLAP. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item up is 10A. This is one of those 2-parters. It's a third reading First is going to be a public hearing on amending section 302 of the DSO, which is the RV parks and campgrounds. So if you have something you want to say about that, you need to come up to the podium now. So, public hearing on the RV park campground ordinance. Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, nobody's speaking. I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay, next item up is going to be a third reading on the amendments to section 302 of the DSO, RV parks and campgrounds. Do I hear a motion? I'm going to make a motion to accept that as presented, though I have issues with it. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion or any amendments that people want to make here?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would like to amend we had a lot of discussion about the number of days that started at 180. Planning suggested 90, and we ended up at 135. I would like to change that back to their original recommendation of 90.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion on that amendment to lower it's item number 3, I think, on 302's changes from 135 to 90 days. Any discussion?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just say that I'm against dropping it down to 90. I'm one of the few people that don't have a problem with folks that want to travel and camp and stick a season in one spot. So I actually like the 180, and I thought the 135 was a fair compromise, but I'm completely against dropping it down to 90 consecutive.
Okay. I'm actually in support of it. Campgrounds are considered short-term stays, the temporary stays. 90 days was proposed by the Planning Commission because
They based that on law, state law.
yeah, they basically, the way the accommodations tax is set up, 90 days or less, you charge accommodations tax, and that's kind of where they divide short-term and long-term. So it's not as arbitrary. A number of 90 days is 180 or 135, and it's consistent and logical. So I'm going to support that change to 90 days. Still a long time for somebody staying in an RV park who's traveling through. Any other discussion on that before I call the vote to that amendment? Okay, those in favor of lowering that from 135 to 90 days, and that's going to be, there's like 3 or 4 different places you have 135 there, Megan, in that ordinance, so that's going to change all 3 of those if it's successful. Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, that passes 4-2. Okay, so I want to make another amendment to item number 4. And this is important one to me. This is a kind of a do-or-die one for me. To change the number of campsites to 4 per acre. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, let me explain that. The current ordinance, the way it's written now, 302, is 4 campsites per acre overall. Now, this raises it to 5 campsites per acre overall. There's too much growth in the county, and I think raising density for anything is a step in the wrong direction, and I can't support it going from currently to 4 to 5. So my amendment is to take the proposal from 5 back down to 4. And that's why. So I don't want to see higher density in anything. That's the direction. I think that's the wrong step. So I'm just reversing back my amendment. Any discussion on my amendment?
Mr. Chairman, again, I actually don't like the cap. You know, we discussed a few minutes ago, we can't make a property owner do something, and yet we're trying to make them limited to 4 camp spots, and I just have major heartburn over that. We don't have a lot of hotels. We don't have motels. We don't have many hotels or motels. We like to talk about ATAX. We like to talk about all the things ATAX brings. We like to talk about tourism. But I think that limiting this, especially if we didn't have anything else in here, we didn't have setbacks in here, if we didn't have, you had to have so much space and so much space between, then yeah, okay, I would say, okay. But I think with everything else that is in here, 5 spots is not unreasonable.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? But what I basically did to get my 4,
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Linville, yeah, you're up next.
Yeah, I would like to say that I would like to keep it at the more per acre that we originally had, because I think it's up to the campground designer to design the type of RV campground. As Mr. Bowery said, we have a lot of restrictions in that keep it safe and keep it more attractive to the public. But by allowing flexibility in the number of acreage, then in the number of sites per acre, then you can accommodate tent camping, which I kept pointing out in discussion that we keep forgetting that some people will use this for tent camping, and to do only 4 per acre is not a quality use of land. So what I like about leaving it as a larger number is if the campsite designer wants to have a more rural place for campgrounds, he can design it that way, or have more closer together, and people can choose to camp there or not based on if it fits, you know, what they like. So I like giving the flexibility to move differently between tent sites and primitive sites versus RV sites. So we need to have more allowed per acre, in my opinion.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to probably keep the 5 per acre because I'm afraid it may be a deterrent on the business model. Because there is a financial end to the camping experience as well for the owner. And I know it's very expensive to do anything real estate wise. And so it would be my preference to keep that number up as well.
Yeah, what happens is when I looked at Table Rock State Park, I looked at the 2 little campsites. One's got about 22 sites and the other one's got 69. And you take the square acreage around it. So you have to put that in the denominator, and then in the numerator you put the number of sites. It usually equals 4, and that's what we're shooting for overall. But when you actually look at let's say this is how they designed. You have a big square, and then there's a road. Because roads are hard to build, so they build one road. When you look at the number of sites on that road, it's really like up to 10 per acre in some places, because that's where they build them economically. Now, there's nothing out in this acre, there's nothing on this acre, there's nothing in this middle acre, because they don't want to run a road there. So the average is 4 overall when you take the total and divide it into the number of campsites. That's what I found. That's what's going on in Table Rock. The average is about 4. So that's why I felt it was comfortable. Now they want to raise it to 5 from the current to 4, and I oppose that because it's a little bit higher than what Table Rock's got. And I just don't want to go on record of being for higher density for anything at this point because there's a lot of complaints about density. So I'll be voting for the 4. So any other discussion on that? Okay.
Oh, not on that particular, but some other items.
Yeah. Let's just do this 4. Okay, so the amendment is to change the number of campsites in the proposal from 5 per acre overall to 4. So those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, those opposed? Okay, so that fails 4-2. You had something you wanted to mention. So we still just got one amendment so far.
Okay. This will be a proposed second amendment. Not sure about 302B, the number 2 under that. We have the acreage 5 to 10 acres. Now, there is the language of variance in that particular paragraph, and I guess I wanted some clarification to make sure if someone wanted to add more than a 10-acre maximum just to utilize an extra amenity, but not extra campsites, just to basically to enhance the overall project. Would this variance cover that?
Allison?
Yes, if they apply for a variance, it would be for the entirety of the campground. So that would include any amenities that are proposed within.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, the second area that I had some questions about is going to be the square footage of the cabin size. And right now we have 700 square feet, and that includes porches and decks. A typical 2-bedroom house is around 900 square feet. My concern is this size too restrictive on families with children? Because if you take off a porch from the 700 square feet, it's going to be a very tight living spot for a family with 2 or 3 kids for that week or so. So I would like to make an amendment to raise that square footage up to 800 square feet for the living space only.
Okay, do we hear a second on that?
I'll second that for discussion.
Any discussion on that amendment?
Did we ever find out what our square footage of our cabins are at Mile Creek? Because I'd be hard pressed to vote for something smaller than what we have. And I believe this was something we
I think
discussed.
we talked about that at the last
At
meeting.
the last meeting, but we did.
I don't think we had the number then.
We did.
Okay, any other questions on that? This is an amendment to, repeat that, Mr. Holloway?
This will be an amendment to 302B, number 4A, I believe it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Do we need to find out the answer to his question before we vote on that?
I mean, I don't need to know it, because
Just send a message and see if I can answer.
You got a guess?
Right at 500, I'm advised.
What?
Right at 500.
Okay.
That's inside though, right?
That's not including that big porch on the side that's screened in? That's still, keep you,
Even at 700, you're still larger.
say 7 to 8, you'd still be there, yep. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, those in favor of that amendment, raise your right hand. Got 1, 2, 3. Those, did you vote for it? I'm sure, right? 4? Okay, those opposed? Okay, that passes 4 to 2, so there's 2 amendments. Any other amendments or discussion on this? Okay, so now we're gonna go to a final vote, which is this section 302, that's proposed, that's in the packet on 10A, and then those 2 amendments. One's to go down to 90 days for the maximum stay, and then the other one is to raise it to 800 for living space on cabins. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on that? Okay, I'm gonna be voting no because it, like I said, the new RV parks with all the growth we're seeing, to raise density from 4 to 5 per acre is a step in the wrong direction. Way back when, we used to have an 800 square foot minimum lot size for those RV parks. It got lowered to 690. I was hoping to try to change that tonight. I didn't even get there. So for those 2 reasons, I want to see sites, less of them, and more spread out. I think that's what people want overall. And this ordinance just does not do that, in my opinion, so I'll be voting no.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say I am not in agreement with everything in here. In fact, I don't like the 10-acre maximum, and I went into great detail about that in our last meeting. I also don't like the 90-day rule. Overall, I do think it is a good ordinance that gives some good structure. I agree. I think that there are some things that probably need to be revisited in the near future, but for the sake of getting a good, clean, up-to-date ordinance out there, even though I don't agree with everything, I feel like I have to support it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay,
I just want to thank, this is one of the first projects we've sent to this planning commission to work with staff as we've started to update the living, breathing document of the UDSO. So I'm just really grateful that we got to this point and we're putting language in for words that weren't included before, like making this all campground. So I'm glad we got here.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
I think they put a lot of hard work and effort into doing this, and I appreciate that hard work and effort. And even though some of the things I didn't want are in there, I'm gonna go ahead and vote for this, because I think we got a good document. I'm not agreeing with 100% of it, but it's good.
I think we're at a good starting point.
Okay. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay, that passes 5-1. Okay, that's put to bed. Okay, next item up is 11A. You got an update from John Hambry, Veterans Affairs Officer. John, you're up. You've been doing that job about a year now, huh?
8 months.
Okay.
8 months.
Let's get an update.
Yeah. All right. First of all, for those who don't know me, I'm John Hembry. I'm the York County GSO Veteran Service Officer. Good evening, Chairman, Councilmen, members, guests, and residents of Pickens County. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you tonight and share the progress our office has made on behalf of veterans of Pickens County over the past 8 months. But before I speak about numbers, process improvements, or budgets, I want to begin with the heart of our work, the people we serve and the privilege we have in serving them, the veterans. Every day in our office, we meet veterans who have carried the weight of service long after their uniforms is folded and put away. Some walk in with visible wounds, some with invisible ones, and some simply seeking clarity in a system that they can feel overwhelming. And every day they trust us with their stories, their struggles, and their hopes, and that trust is sacred. The privilege of serving them is not mine alone. It is shared among our entire staff. We show up each morning with a simple intention: to mirror in our own small way the sacrifices our veterans have shown. Not through grand gestures, but through steady, consistent service. Through listening, through advocacy, through doing the hard, detailed work that helps a veteran move forward. We're also working to change the perspective of the past, to modernize, to professionalize, and to build a Veterans Affairs office that reflects the dignity of the people it serves. That is the spirit that guides us, and with that foundation, I'd like to share the progress we've made over the past 8 months. Progress that reflects both the needs of our veterans and the dedication of the team that serves them. In the most recent geographic distribution of VA expenditures, the GDX report, Pickens County veterans received approximately $38 million in federal VA expenditures. These are federal dollars that flow directly into our community through the disability, compensations, pensions, education benefits, and health care. That level of impact is comparable to a footprint of a mid-sized manufacturing employer. Over the same period, our office helped secure over $1 million in retroactive pay for fewer than 100 veterans, and that's only a fraction. Pickens County holds 7,200 veterans in the county. This is not just a financial milestone. It represents stability restored, medical needs met, and families finally receiving what they've earned through service. This is real-world impact of a strong, well-supported Veteran Affairs office. Over the past 8 months, our volume logs have increased significantly. We have logged an additional 528 new veterans into our system. That's a 21% increase from the same time period of last year. Our team has submitted over 1,000 different types of submissions, to include intent to file, supplemental claims, and new claims. And that too is a 70% increase at the same time last year. And we've also logged 2,565 different interactions. That's a 283% increase from last year. More veterans are calling, emailing, and walking in, seeking help with a wide range of needs. This growth reflects trust in our office, trust in our processes, and trust in the systems that we have put in place. This growth also reflects accountability and transparency of the work we are doing. Our office serves as the connection point between federal, state, and local benefits, the veterans who rely on them. That connection is stronger today than ever, and it will continue to grow as long as we collectively choose to support it. I've approached this work in the last 8 months through 3 guiding principles: advocacy, action, and accountability. Our office has become an official VA-approved work study site, expanding our capabilities of bringing in support for modernization projects. We've added a part-time claims representative, improving our ability to distribute responsibilities and respond to growing demand. This action is with intention, aligning passion with process, so our team can serve effectively and sustainably. As you already heard tonight, a budget proposal to convert this position to a full-time position. We are refining our internal structure, organizing staff roles into Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 service levels. This structure has already improved consistency, efficiency, giving veterans smoother appointments and clearer guidance. As our team gains experience and training, this framework will continue to strengthen. We've also strengthened our processes to ensure that work is completely, responsibly, and efficiently. These reforms are designed to reduce the need for personal time, not depend on it. One of the realities of our work is that veterans' needs don't always fit neatly into a 30, 60, or 90-minute appointment blocks. Often a conversation uncovers details we weren't expecting, service records that they didn't know they had, and medical issues they carried quietly for years, or benefits they never realized applied to them. When that happens, we don't rush them out the door. unlike what some of our veterans are experiencing at some of their other appointments. We take the time needed to understand their situation and guide them responsibly without compromising the next appointment. Our recent process improvements are designed to help us manage these moments more effectively. But the truth is, serving veterans well sometimes requires flexibility, patience, and willingness to stay with the case until it's done right. This is why our accountability and modernization efforts matter. They help us serve more veterans effectively while protecting staff, protecting the county, and ensuring that our work remains compliant and sustainable. At the same time, we recognize that demand is rising and case complexity is increasing. We are monitoring this closely to ensure that our staff structure, including classification and workload distribution, remains aligned with the needs of our veterans and the expectations of our county. As the office continues to grow, there may be areas where adjustments become appropriate to maintain high-quality, compliant service. Because of the effort of our team, outreach and engagement with the community have increased. Claims and pensions processing capability is growing stronger. Digitalization of long-term records is underway. Workflow improvements have created smoother and reliable service, and veterans are receiving faster and more accurate support. And millions of federal dollars are being delivered to local families. These results reflect a team committed to responsible, effective service and bringing more veterans into the fold who may otherwise go without assistance. To sustain this process or this progress, we respectfully request support in 3 areas. Training and professional development. Federal guidance evolves constantly, and training ensures accuracy, compliance, and high-quality service, especially for complex claims. As Mr. Roper has already mentioned, converting the part-time claims representative role. This position was originally approved as a full-time role, but funding it at the level will expand capability and support continuity of service. Modernization and outreach infrastructure. Digital tools, communication platforms, signage, workflow improvements help us reach veterans who are still disconnected from the benefits they've earned. These requests are not about expanding for expansion's sake. They are about sustaining responsible, compliant, high-quality service. What we are preparing initiatives that will continue advancing our mission. Countywide veteran service signages. When I first started, you couldn't find a veteran sign anywhere in the county. So I proposed to the county within the first few months to add VA veterans signage to their new signage project. Planning for a veteran spouse life cycle workshop is underway. A workshop that educates both the veteran and spouse of benefits from initial claims to surviving spouse and death benefits upon the veteran's passing. We continue to expand partnerships with universities, community organizations, and local businesses. Each initiative is designed to express our team's commitment in ways that are organized, compliant, and sustainable. Council members, when a veteran walks into our office, they're not just asking for help with paperwork. They're asking to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. They're asking for someone to stand with them as they navigate a system that can feel overwhelming, especially when they carry the weight of service that never fully leaves them. And every time we sit across from a veteran, whether it's a young service member just transitioning out of the military, or a veteran who has carried his story for 50 plus years, we are reminded of something simple and profound. They already did their part. They already served. They already sacrificed. Now it's our turn to serve them. It is our turn to sacrifice for them. Our team shows up every day with that truth in mind. We listen, we advocate, we walk with them through the details, the records, the memories, and the moments that matter. We do it because it's right, we do it because it's needed, and we do it because the people who once wore our nation's uniform deserve nothing less. We cannot do this work alone. The progress we made, the modernization, the accountability, the increased outreach, the millions of federal dollars delivered to local families, all of this possible because of the commitment of our team and a county that believes in supporting veterans. Your continued partnership is just an investment in it's not just an investment in an office. It is an investment in our veterans, in their dignity, in their stability and in their future. When we strengthen our Veteran Affairs Office, we strengthen the men and women who strengthen this nation. And when we strengthen them, we strengthen Pickens County. Thank you for your time, your support, and your commitment to the veterans who have given so much to us.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Any questions for Mr. Hambrick?
I do. Or do you, go ahead. No, you're better. Go ahead.
What are we looking at? Do you have any programs coming in the future? Do you have any programs that you're thinking about for the future that we can take a look at?
So right now we do have, like I said, a workshop designed for veterans and spouses to take them through the entire process, the life cycle, if you will, from initial claims to when the veteran passes and what benefits are eligible or eligibility for those things after death. We also have we're in the planning process now of a town hall in August. We're working with the state to host that for them. Those are the two top ones that's on my radar right now, as well as a Memorial Day event that we will be hosting as well.
Good.
Partnering with some of the other agencies.
I was wondering, where is our closest veteran retirement home? Do you know where that? Huh? Anderson?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to see one in Pickens.
On average, how many vets do you see a day up here?
So if I go off of just memory from a calendar appointment, then we're looking anywhere between about 6, 7, and 8. Sorry that I said 6, 7. No, so let's change that 7, 8. But there's a lot of walk-ins that we have as well. So on average, we can see upwards to 30 plus veterans coming in for a variety of things, for helping understand a process, correspondence from the VA, filling out an application, understanding denials and what next steps. So it can range up to 30 plus veterans a day.
Do you assign, like, somebody in your office, once a
currently-
person comes in and makes contact, is that their person throughout the whole?
So right now it's based off the complexity of what service they need. In the tier system, the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, the tier 1 employee will focus on the intake, the first connection, gathering information, gathering documentation, making sure we submit certain documentation in the beginning to gain access to their VA file, and then gather all the information to be able to properly assign. If it's going to be a extremely complex case, then that typically goes to our tier 3, which is our most experienced claims rep. And then our tier 2 is going to be handling some of the less complex ones. And our tier 1 will be the basic claim process, intake and things like that.
And how many of y'all are full-time?
2 full, well, count myself, 2 claims, and then 1 part-time, which come July, that individual is going to be converted to a full-time position.
So all of y'all will be full-time
Yes.
employed?
Yes.
Is that a 37.5-hour or 40-hour full-time?
It should be like an 80-hour, but right now it's a 37.
Well, that was kind of where I was going. Can you do everything you need to do in a work?
We are trying our very best to keep it within law, to keep everybody out of hot water, is what we're trying to do.
All right, thank you.
Very good question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Next item up is 11B, approval of grants from the State Aeronautics Board, I guess, or something.
I guess I'm.
You're up, Mr. Roper, okay.
This
The
is,
airport
let me
director
introduce you,
for
you may all know.
11B and C.
Carlos Salinas, he'll be up for the next 2, the veteran, this is the veteran night. But Carlos is here, he's the director of our Pickens County Airport in the next 2 items.
Okay,
I'm
you're
here
up.
to answer questions, or you want me to present the grant?
Sure. An overview, yes, sir.
All right, folks, you have in front of you a 60/40 state grant. The FAA is not involved in this one, to do a feasibility study on the north side of the airport. As you all know, the folks that have been out there, I think you all have been out there, yes? Terrain challenge, everything rolls away. So when we get our ramp expansion, we had to move 40,000 cubic yards of earth to get that ramp expansion. So we are out of dirt to move if we want to do anything else. So like a lot of folks in this room, we're trying to adjust to our growing customer base that comes into that airport. Very busy little airport. Ramp space is still challenged. Folks still wanting to come to the airport. So if we're going to do any more earthwork, we're going to have to bring in dirt. The smartest option is the piece of private land directly to the northwest that abuts us. That gentleman is interested in working with us to get that dirt. He has some interest in the matter as well, obviously. The FAA is known to do this type of work in the future. They will allow for the movement of land from private to public as long as everything's written out. So what it gets for us is dirt to expand on the north side. That's the only place we can expand at this point. The south side is all built out. So in front of you, I believe, is the 60-40 state grant. The state has said they would fund a feasibility study. So our consultants will go in and look at water. There's a creek going through the area. They'll look at environmental. They'll look at, they'll do some earth samples to see if the soil is good to move. And then they would look, part of the contract is that they would look at if there's any kind of synergistic opportunities there between the land, the private land, and the public land. That obviously would be something that the council would have to vote on. But if there is some kind of a opportunity there to get what's called a through the fence operation, they're going to look at that possibility as well.
I got one question. So basically, the state's going to give us $69,600 in a grant, and we're putting up $46,400. Is that right?
Yes, I think that's.
And you're going to be dealing with the terrain on the north side of the property to expand the ramp.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good.
It's a taxiway ramp.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to make a motion to approve that as presented, item number 11B. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Where's the $46,400 coming from?
It's from the airport fund balance. It can't be used for anything else.
We, previous year's promise. We're in the blank.
Okay, any other comments on that? Council Linville, anything on that? You hearing me? No, you can't hear me. We can't hear her. She's out. Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote. You're going to have to look at us.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, next item up is 11B, I'm sorry, 11C, airport regulations. You want to discuss that?
You all will certainly recall about 4 years ago, we had an individual wanted to get ultralight access off runway. A 4-year back and forth between us and the FAA and the individual. That matter was resolved. The FAA found that he should have access, but that we were allowed to impose some regulations on that access. So staff, in conjunction with our aviation legal counsel, came up with what is called a corrective action plan. Part of that corrective action plan was airport regulations. It's a large, for us, for the size of our airport, it's a large document, but it's part of what the FAA wanted. So in conjunction with our legal counsel and working with the FAA, everybody was on board that this is a good package for airport regulation.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve that? That's presented in item 11C.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I got some tough questions here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's section 10, right?
Go ahead.
Section 10. I remember him saying that he wanted to take off land anywhere. You limit him to grass only. Is that an FAA rule or not?
Yes. There's a lot of history here.
No, I don't need a lot of history.
I'll give you the very short.
10 to 9.
The FAA and staff and our legal counsel had concerns, sequencing concerns, safety and sequencing concerns. We have a 10 to 15 knot aircraft in front of a jet that's moving 110 knots. Creates a lot of closure in an unsafe situation. But really the only option is for him to move off runway.
Okay. All right, next question. 10C. You have, the airport has rules for ultralight angles of approach. as much as 3 to 5 miles out. Now, who controls that airspace, the FAA or the airport?
It is an uncontrolled airfield, so it's what is called pilot deconfliction. Technically, Greer Approach does have control of that airspace, but they deemed it uncontrolled airspace, so pilot deconfliction. They talk to each other. Now, interestingly enough, the FAA realizes that ultralights are a very special circumstance. They don't require them to have radars.
Gotcha, I saw that. Okay, so is it our airspace or the FAA's?
The federal government owns the airspace.
Federal government has it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's FAA. Okay, Claiborne?
I just want to ask, where are these rules posted for the public?
It'll be on our website, on the county website, airport page, if they're approved.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, final question is gonna be 10I. Who requires the ultralight flyers to have $1 million of insurance? The FAA, the airport, or the?
That was one of the stipulations that the FAA allowed us to have, to address our safety concerns.
So the FAA is allowing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on, we got a motion and a second on that, correct? Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, next is the consent agenda, which we have none, and then item 13 is a motion. I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session for an update on pending litigation. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we're gonna take a break for like 10 to 15 minutes and go into executive session. If you have any questions, you can come up now, but they've been here since 8:30, so 10 to 15 minutes max. Yeah, hold on, no, hold on. Let me just, okay. Those